So if you're not the best and your team has hidden their talents, your Pogba doesn't want to play. Remember that time in Man U when Pogba didn't want to play? If your Pogba does not want to play, if your Messi does not want to play, if your Ronaldo does not want to play, do you know you're sunk? You're gone. Kwisha wewe. I've talked about some traps of leadership. Number one is the perfect captain. If you've got a team member that is not living up to their potential, it is your business to go and pick them up, because the team operates in such a way that you are as strong as your weakest link. So you're looking for the weakest link and trying to pick them up, okay? And the important thing is you're also trying to build culture. Culture is so important, and culture is values. And this is an important part of a captain. In fact, let me write it down. We've talked about hard work. The other important thing is values. Your value system. Value, and this really is culture, yeah? We're talking about culture. What your values is simply, what do you allow? What do you allow people to do? What do you allow to happen in the organization? And your value system is what people are going to copy. So something that is so important for us right now is to understand that people understand your value by how you treat them and how you treat circumstances. How you handle people and how you handle different circumstances is what is going to determine your value system. For example, when somebody steals in your organization, how do you treat them? I remember I was working with a certain organization I was consulting for. And I remember there was a time we brought a thief to the owners. I was consulting and I said, this person is stealing. Here is the evidence. We did a whole document, we presented the documents, and we showed the person stole. And what happened is, unfortunately, I knew the person was going to be let go, or disciplinary action to be taken. It was a very senior manager. Later on, I came back to work the next week and the person was there. And I was so frustrated because I was asking the owner, so what are we doing? Because as soon as you allow a thief in your organization, what you're telling people is that our value system does not have a problem with thieves. And because of that, no matter how much you talk about theft, people will steal. So your value system, how do you handle people? How do you handle circumstances? If something has happened that is wrong, you need to raise a big deal about it. Sit people down, call a meeting, talk about it, come up with SOPs, standard operating procedures, come up with policies to make sure it doesn't happen again. That's how people understand our value system. But when we get to a place where we'd allow things to go wrong, then people say, si nani alifanya, and nothing happened to them, so I can also do the same thing. And it becomes a very dangerous thing. And let me tell you something about culture. Culture is so powerful. Culture is the single most powerful thing in any organization. Culture will fight you or it will fight for you. All right? When you have got a powerful culture in your organization, for example, if you have a culture of laziness in the organization, people don't show up to work on time, people leave work early, people don't finish their tasks. When you have that culture, when you come in with a different culture, let's say of hard work, that internal culture will fight you. Guys will try to get you out of the job. Guys will try to get you fired as the leader of the organization. Guys will they will disagree with you. You'll just find you have no peace in that organization because the culture they have is fighting you. All right? And of course, that works bottom up and top down as well. But now the other way, culture will also fight for you is when you create a culture, let's say, of hard work. And I remember this happened to us once. When you create a culture of hard work, it fights for you even when you're not there. I remember there was a time in our company, we hired a manager who interviewed very well. He had a good CV, and I don't know what happened. The guy passed the interview very well. And he came in, a restaurant manager. And let me tell you, within 2-3 weeks, the staff came to us and said, why did you hire this person? Are you guys sure? Imagine they literally came, the junior staff, literally came in a group and said, we just want to say, with all due respect, we don't think you have the right person here. And we had to let that person go. They actually literally came and said, this person, look, they are doing this, they are doing this, they are doing this. Since we came here, you told us not to do this. So you see, that culture fought for us as a company because people have a culture that spat that person out. When you have the right culture, it will fight for you even when you're not on duty. And so that's why building a culture is so important. You have to build the right culture. And culture is simply, what do you allow to happen? How do you handle people? How do you treat them? Do you treat them with respect? Some of our cultures, for example, as an organization, is integrity, hard work, diligence, faithfulness, trustworthiness. Those are key values. So you have to make sure that you fight and uphold those values. Okay? The GM, your job is to understand what is it that makes this person tick. Okay? The second challenge with the second failure, the tragedy of leadership, I've said the first one is a perfect leader. The second one is a disconnected leader. That's a big tragedy because as a leader, when you get to a place where people disconnect from you because you did not connect to them well, then it becomes very dangerous. It becomes very dangerous because people will come to meetings and they say, okay, sawa, we sema. Si we ndio boss? We sema, okay, sawa. Tumesikia, tutasema vile unataka. So what they do is they don't protect you, they don't fight for you, they don't motivate you, they don't inspire you, and worst of all, they won't give you any ideas. They'll sit and wait for you to give them ideas. I made this mistake in my career. I got to a place where I thought I was perfect. And I think it was actually at Fred's Ranch. I got to a place where I thought I was perfect. So I would come in and I would complain all the time. And then I would tell people, this is what I want us to do. And guys got to a place where the leaders would keep quiet and look at me. So I come to a meeting. The first time you think it's good. You think it sounds like obedience. It sounds like subordination. So it sounds, yes, I told them, and they listened. Nobody talked back to me. And then after it happening twice, thrice, 4 times, you realize you're coming to a meeting by yourself. You're alone. And alone, a leader who is alone is one of the biggest tragedies of leadership. Because what happens is people hide. They hide both their weaknesses, so you can't train them, you can't help them, and they hide their strengths, so you can't gain from them. And remember, you're not the best. So if you're not the best and your team has hidden their talents, your Pogba doesn't want to play. Remember that time in Man U when Pogba didn't want to play? If your Pogba does not want to play, if your Messi does not want to play, if your Ronaldo does not want to play, do you know you're sunk? You're gone. Kwisha wewe. Because you're as good as your team. So a disconnected leader is such a tragedy. And the reason why the leader will cause people to disconnect is when he wants the light shining on him. So you have to be humble enough to be the one to turn the light, and you are the one holding the torch and pointing it at other people. Let them shine. Let them receive the accolades. Let people praise them. You have to be humble enough to hold that torch. When you do that, the stars shine. When the stars shine, you will never lose your trophy. Whenever trophies are lifted, who is the first person to lift the trophy? The World Cup, who lifts the trophy? Not even the coach. You notice that? Whenever there's a title or a trophy being lifted, watch, not even the coach, not even the owner of the club, nobody lifts that trophy before the team captain. So you must be confident enough to know that no matter how much the star shines, I will still receive the trophy. So give them the space, give them the opportunity, give them what they need for them to shine. And when you are disconnected, a disconnected leader is unable to allow other people to shine. So I'll give you a number of tricks to make sure that you are connected, you remain connected. Okay, as I conclude. Number 1, let them speak. Okay? Let them speak first. As a manager, when you're seated with your team, always let your team speak first. When you speak first, it is difficult for them to talk. Because tutasema nini? Si boss ashasema. Na wewe ndio kusema. The way they normally say, when ndio kusema, si ndio? So once you speak first, especially when you're having deliberations and discussions and stuff, if you're the first person to offer your opinion, then it becomes very difficult for your team members to offer an opinion. So rule number 1, let your team members be the first people to speak. If you're brainstorming about an idea, let them, what do you guys think? What do you people think? Especially the person in charge. Let them speak. Always let the star speak. The reason why the midfielders are usually the best team captains and defenders is because their business is to pass the ball. So whenever you are having an issue, a brainstorming session, or there's a big issue, big problem, pass the ball. What do you think? What's your opinion? What's your idea? So it does 2 things. It's a golden rule. When I learned this, unfortunately, I've learned it very late in my life. But when I learned this, it changed my life. Because it does a number of things. Number 1, you are allowed to get other people's opinions before you give yours. So when you're giving yours, you sound wiser. Because you are aggregating other people's ideas and then you give yours. Second thing that it does is, in case you are not ready, you are able to get other people's ideas and you use them. And the third thing that it does, even if their ideas are not good, they will feel that you listened to them. All right? So that's very important. The second thing is, don't just let them speak first. Number 2, ask questions. All right? My marker is out. Ask questions. Okay, let me use a blue one. Be in the business of asking questions than giving answers. When something has happened, ask them a question. After somebody has given his opinion, ask him a question. So you think, what do you think is going to happen? Should we do this event? What should we charge these guests, for example? We want to charge them 2,000. You think we should charge them 2,000? Why do you think we should charge them 2,000? You see, the first question shows me that you have courtesy, all right? Because you asked me my opinion. The second question shows me that you value my opinion. Do you understand? When I ask you for your opinion the first time as a GM, it shows you that I have courtesy. The second time I ask you a question, it shows you that I value your opinion. So how much do you think we should charge this guest? Then you say, as a F&B manager, let's charge them 2,000 shillings. When I ask you, why do you think we should charge them 2,000 shillings? It says a number of things. Number 1, it shows that you value my opinion. Number 2, it shows me that you are ready to discuss. So learn to ask questions. It also shows that you're humble enough to accept that you might not have all the answers. Number 3, the other thing is write down. This is very prescriptive, but it is important. Take notes. When your team members are talking, take notes. Okay? What does this say? First of all, you won't forget what they told you because you're going to leave the meeting with assignments. And every time you leave a meeting, you should always have 3 meetings. First of all, as a leader, understand, you always have 3 meetings. There is the meeting before the meeting, as you're preparing for the main meeting. Every time you're about to have a meeting, there must be 3. I must have a meeting before I come into the meeting. And then I'll have the meeting. And then after the meeting, I must sit down and have a meeting again with myself to think about the things we discussed in the main meeting. Now, if you didn't write down, you'll forget what you discussed in that meeting. So that's one value. The second value is when team members see their boss writing down their points, it shows them that the boss values what they are saying. So next time, before they open their mouth, they are going to think twice. And you can remind them what they said. So it's a very important thing. Next thing is, number 4, put yourself in their shoes. Empathy. Don't just think like yourself, think like them. Put yourself in their shoes. What would you do if you were them? Most of the time, if you're the leader or the captain of a team, you have also grown up the ranks, so you have been them. Always put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel if your boss said that? How would you feel if the guest did that? How would you feel if you were faced with that kind of target or that kind of challenge? Because when you do that, then you will speak their language. You will answer the way you would have wanted somebody to answer you. And that's very important for you. Okay? And then, fifth, let them make their decision. And I want to talk about this for a second. Say it. It's important to allow people, your team members, to come up with a decision. Not you. Because when they come up with a decision, then you can hold them accountable. And they will know that it's their decision. If you're the one coming up with a decision and forcing it down their throats, the next time you come and ask, why didn't this work? When you push people, they're going to eventually say, but you know, it's you who decided. It was you who said that we need to do this thing. And it's going to come right back to you. And that's why the team captain, your business is to pass the ball. When you pass the ball, then that star is going to be asking himself, why didn't I score? You get me? Using the football team analogy. If Maguire passes the ball to Pogba 4 times, Pogba doesn't score, then Maguire can sit and have a conversation with him and ask him, boss, what's going on? And Pogba will also go because he loves the limelight. He loves the star. He loves the light. He's going to go and ask himself, why am I not performing? He'll push himself. But if Maguire is insisting that Pogba passes the ball to him all the time, when the team doesn't score, Pogba will tell him, but you know, boss, you're the one who didn't score. You get me? So when you insist on making the decisions, then people will always pass the ball back to you. They'll ask you, okay, boss, so why didn't you do it? Number 6, make sure that you leave with a resolution. Never leave a meeting without a conclusion. That's, and you guys have heard me say it. So what are we saying? You know that phrase? When you're finishing a meeting, you must finish with, so what are we saying? So what are we doing? What are the action points? You must finish with that. And the final thing is, always come back and review. Come back and review. And when you review, you come back to this same process. Remember this? When you're reviewing, first of all, let them speak. How did this happen? You said we charged 2,000, no guest came. What do you think? I think the price may not be the issue. I think maybe it was traffic. Why do you feel it was traffic? Haven't guests been coming all the time? Let them ask questions. And then after that, write down their answers. And then put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, if I was them and I made a decision and I said we charged 2,000 and the guests didn't come, how would I feel? How would I want my boss to react? And then ask them, so what are you going to do differently now? Because this time we set that price, guests didn't come. What do you think we need to do differently? Let them come up with a decision and then say, summarize. So what is our action point? From now on, we are going to charge not more than 1,500. Good. And the cycle continues. That is how you remain connected. In the meeting, you're going to find your team must do more of the talking than you. What you're doing is offering guidance.